Welcome to John Carter Stories. My name is Marcus. I'm 65 years old, and after 32 years of waking up at 5 in the morning, after missing countless holidays and family moments, I finally received my retirement package. $4.1 million. Can you believe that? 32 years of my life reduced to a number. But it was a good number. A number that meant freedom. A number that meant Janet and I could finally live the life we'd always talked about. I grabbed my briefcase, clutched that retirement plaque they'd given me like it was made of gold, and I drove home 2 hours early to surprise my wife. I couldn't wait to see her face. Couldn't wait to tell her that we'd made it. That all those years of sacrifice had finally paid off. But the moment I stepped inside our quiet house, I heard her voice upstairs. She was laughing into her phone. That sweet, carefree laugh I hadn't heard in months. And then she said something that made my blood turn to ice. Once the paperwork is done, we'll get everything. He'll never see it coming. Please subscribe and like this video and listen to my story till the end and let me know which city you're listening from. That way I can see how far my story has traveled. Because what I'm about to share with you, it's something that needs to be heard. It's a story about trust, about betrayal, and about what happens when the people you love most become the people you know least. I froze at the bottom of the staircase. That same staircase where we'd taken family photos for decades. Where our daughter Emma had sat as a little girl, grinning with missing front teeth. Where Janet and I had kissed on our 10th anniversary, surrounded by balloons and champagne. And then she mentioned a name I never expected to hear on that call. A name that made everything click into place with sickening clarity. In that moment, standing at the bottom of those stairs with my retirement plaque in one hand and my briefcase in the other, I realized something. My retirement wasn't the end of my career. It was the beginning of a fight for my life. You see, I'd spent 32 years building what I thought was a solid foundation. A good marriage. A loving family. Financial security. But in a single conversation, in a single sentence, I discovered that the foundation I'd been standing on was built on lies. And it was about to crumble beneath my feet. Let me back up. That morning started like a dream. Mr. Harrison called me into his office at 9:30. For 3 decades he'd been more than just a boss. He'd been a mentor, a friend, the guy who saw potential in a 27-year-old kid fresh out of college with more ambition than sense. Now at 65, he looked at me across that massive oak desk with genuine emotion in his eyes. Tears actually. Real tears. "Marcus," he said, sliding a folder across to me. 32 years. You've earned every single cent of this. I opened that folder with trembling hands. $4.1 million. $800,000 up front. The rest structured as an annuity over the next 15 years. My hands actually shook as I held those documents. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't process it. Harrison stood up, extended his hand, and then pulled me into an unexpected hug. A real hug, not one of those awkward business hugs. Go enjoy life, Marcus. You've more than earned it. The office threw an impromptu celebration. Cake in the break room. Handshakes. A few tears from folks I worked alongside for what felt like forever. Mike Stevens, our IT guy, clapped me on the shoulder with this huge grin on his face. "Brother, you're living the dream. What's first? Hawaii? New truck? Vegas?" I just laughed, feeling lighter than I had in years. "Haven't gotten that far yet, Mike. Haven't gotten that far." By 2 in the afternoon I was done with goodbyes. The briefcase felt heavier than usual, not from the plaque inside, but from the weight of possibility. The weight of freedom. 32 years of 5 a.m. alarms, of missed soccer games, of weekend overtime, all validated in a single morning. I thought about Janet. About how we'd dreamed of this moment since we were young and broke and foolishly in love. Travel. Grandkids someday. Maybe a cabin by the lake. The future stretched out before me like an open highway with no speed limit. I decided to surprise her. Usually I didn't get home until 4:30. Today I'd be there by 2:15. I wanted to see her face when I told her. Wanted to watch her eyes light up the way they used to when we were first married, and I'd bring home flowers for no reason. The drive felt different. The trees along the highway seemed greener, more alive. The sky looked wider, bigger. I caught myself grinning at absolutely nothing, fingers drumming the steering wheel to some old Springsteen song on the radio. 26 years of marriage. We'd built a good life together. A solid life. Sure. Things have been a little distant lately. Janet seemed preoccupied, spending more time on her phone, going out with friends more often. But that was normal, right? Everyone goes through phases. Everyone has rough patches. I pulled into our driveway at 18 minutes past 2. The house looked peaceful in the September afternoon light. 4 bedrooms, 2 stories, worth about $850,000 in today's market. We'd raised Emma here. Every inch of this place held memories. I grabbed my briefcase and that retirement plaque, and I eased the car door shut quietly. She'd be so surprised. So happy. The front door was unlocked. I stepped into the foyer, already imagining her reaction, already planning what I'd say. And that's when I heard it. Her voice upstairs. On speakerphone. Don't worry, Derek. Once the divorce is finalized, we'll have at least half of that $4 million. Maybe more if his lawyer's as incompetent as I hope. I stood there, completely frozen. My briefcase almost slipped from my hand, but I caught it. The hardwood floor beneath my feet suddenly felt like it was tilting, like I was standing on a ship in a storm. A man's voice came through the speaker. Smooth, confident, smug. And Emma's on board completely? Janet's tone was almost cheerful. Actually cheerful. Like she was discussing weekend brunch plans instead of my destruction. Oh, she understands completely. This money could set her up for life. Set us up for life. Ryan needs help with his business and she wants that wedding we talked about. Big venue. Destination honeymoon. The works. You're sure he doesn't suspect anything? My wife laughed. Actually laughed. That same laugh I'd fallen in love with 26 years ago. That same laugh that used to make my heart skip a beat. Marcus? Please. He's so wrapped up in his work he barely notices I exist anymore. By the time he realizes what's happening, it'll be too late. We file first, freeze the accounts, and his precious retirement fund gets split right down the middle. Have you ever had a moment where your entire reality just shatters? Where everything you thought you knew, everything you believed in just crumbles into dust? That's what happened to me in that moment. Standing in my own home, listening to my wife plot my financial destruction with her lover while my daughter helped. The briefcase slipped from my hand. It didn't fall completely, I caught it, but that near miss sent a jolt of adrenaline through my entire system. My heart hammered against my ribs so hard I thought it might break through. The floor beneath my feet felt like ice. 26 years. 26 years of marriage. Of building a life together. Of believing we were partners. I could have walked up those stairs right then. Could have confronted her. Could have let all the hurt and rage and betrayal pour out like a flood. I could have screamed. Demanded answers. Made her look me in the eye. Instead, I backed toward the door. Slowly. Carefully. Making absolutely no sound. Every step felt like I was walking through water. Every breath felt like swallowing glass. Janet never knew I was there. By 4 o'clock, I was sitting in a diner 8 miles from home. The coffee in front of me had gone cold. I hadn't touched it. My hands rested flat on the table, palms down, trying to stop the shaking that wouldn't quit. Derek. Emma. Divorce. For $1 million. The words circled in my head like vultures, picking at the corpse of my marriage. A waitress stopped by, this sweet older lady with kind eyes. You okay, hon? Need a refill? I'm fine. The lie came automatically, easily. Just thinking. She moved on, and I stared out the window at the parking lot. Cars coming and going. People with normal problems. Normal days. Normal lives. And then something clicked in my mind. Something cold and calculating. Janet didn't know. She had no idea I'd hurt her. No idea I'd been standing in our foyer while she plotted my financial destruction with her lover Derek and enlisted our daughter against me. That meant I had an advantage. Maybe the only one I'd get. But what I didn't know yet, what I couldn't have possibly known in that moment, was that the betrayal went deeper than I could have ever imagined. And the war I was about to wage would require every ounce of strength, strategy, and patience I had left. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and scrolled to Mike Stevens' number. Mike answered on the second ring, still in that celebratory mood from earlier. Marcus, man. You celebrating yet? Please tell me you're popping champagne somewhere. Not yet, Mike. I need a favor. A quiet favor. My voice sounded steadier than I felt, and I was grateful for that. I couldn't let anyone know how close I was to falling apart. I need you to check the system logs. See who accessed my retirement file. Specifically, who might have forwarded information outside the company. A long pause. I could almost hear Mike's brain working through the implications. That's highly irregular, Marcus. What's going on? I just need to know. Can you do it? Another pause. Then yeah. Give me until tomorrow morning. Thanks, brother. I owe you. I hung up and sat there for another 20 minutes, letting the shock drain away, watching it get replaced by something colder, something focused, something dangerous. By 6 o'clock I was home again, parked in the driveway like it was any other evening, walked through the front door with my briefcase and plaque, my face arranged into an expression of tired contentment. Honey, I'm home. Janet appeared from the kitchen, and oh, her smile was so bright, so perfect, so completely fake, though I'd never seen it before. You're late. How was your day? I kissed her cheek. That same cheek I'd kissed 1,000 times before. That same cheek that now felt like kissing a stranger. Long day but good. Harrison said some really nice things. Made me feel appreciated, you know? That's wonderful, sweetheart. Her eyes never wavered. Perfect performance. Emma's coming by for dinner. I made your favorite pot roast. Dinner was absolutely surreal. Emma arrived at 6:30, gave me this big hug, congratulated me on retirement. Her smile looked so genuine. Her questions about my plans sounded so interested. But now I heard the subtext beneath every word. Saw the calculation behind her eyes. I played my part flawlessly. Asked about Ryan, about their wedding plans. Laughed at Janet's stories. Complimented the pot roast even though every bite tasted like ash in my mouth. An Oscar-worthy performance if I do say so myself. You know what's worse than being betrayed? Being betrayed and having to pretend you don't know. Having to sit across from the people plotting your destruction and smile and laugh and act like everything's fine. It's torture. Absolute torture. That night, I lay in bed beside Janet. The room was dark except for the glow of her phone. She was texting someone. Probably Derek. Her back was turned to me, and I just stared at the ceiling. 26 years ago, we'd fallen asleep facing each other, fingers intertwined, whispering about our dreams for the future. Now we were strangers sharing a mattress. The betrayal sat in my chest like a stone, heavy and cold. My daughter. My wife. Both of them ready to carve up my life's work like a Thanksgiving turkey. But I said nothing. Did nothing. Just lay there in the darkness, listening to her phone buzz with messages from her lover. Because I'd already made my decision. I wouldn't confront her. I wouldn't give her a chance to prepare, to hide evidence, to get her story straight. I'd be smarter, quieter. And when the moment came, I'd strike in a way she'd never see coming. The next morning, Mike Stevens called me back with news that turned suspicion into absolute certainty. I was in the garage when my phone buzzed at 8 o'clock. Janet was still asleep upstairs. I hadn't slept much. My mind kept replaying that conversation, trying to understand how 26 years of marriage could unravel so completely. Marcus, Mike said, and his voice was tight. You're not going to like this. I stepped outside and closed the garage door behind me. The September air was crisp and cool. Birds were singing. Neighbors were leaving for work. Normal people living normal lives. Tell me. Donna Phillips in HR forwarded your retirement file 3 days ago to an external email. Derek Caldwell at caldwellfinancial.com. That's a federal privacy violation, Marcus. Company policy strictly forbids sharing employee financial data outside the organization. 3 days ago, before I'd even received the official package, Derek had known about my retirement money before I did. Can you document it? Already did. Screenshots are in your inbox. But Marcus, this is serious. Donna could face criminal charges. The company could be liable. Are you sure you want to? I'm sure. Thank you, Mike. When I hung up, I just stood there in my driveway staring at nothing. The pieces were finally aligning, clicking into place like a jigsaw puzzle from hell. Derek wasn't just Janet's lover. He was a planner, a strategist. Someone who'd cultivated an insider to access my private information before I even knew what I had. By 10 o'clock, I was sitting across from Angela Martinez in her law office 30 miles outside our county. I chose her deliberately. different jurisdiction, no local connections, no chance of overlap with Janet's social circle. Angela was about 55, with sharp eyes and salt and pepper hair pulled into a no-nonsense bun. Family law certifications covered her walls like wallpaper. She listened without interrupting, taking precise notes in perfect handwriting. When I finished telling her everything, she set down her pen and looked at me with something like respect. Most men would have confronted their wives by now, shouted, made threats, destroyed their legal position completely. The fact that you didn't tells me you're smarter than most of my clients. I don't feel smart, I said, and my voice cracked just a little. I feel blind. She studied me for a long moment. You suspect the affair has been going on longer than you know. 18 months. Maybe more. I'll prove it. Angela nodded slowly. Virginia law still considers adultery relevant in divorce proceedings. Proven infidelity can affect asset division and spousal support significantly. But you need evidence. Documented. Irrefutable. Time-stamped. The kind that holds up in court. What kind of evidence? Photos. Audio recordings. Paper trails. Financial records. Virginia is a one-party consent state, which means if you're part of a conversation, you can legally record it. Home security cameras are also legal on your own property. But Marcus, listen to me very carefully. You cannot confront her. Not yet. Once she knows you know, she'll destroy evidence. She'll accelerate her timeline. You'll lose your advantage. I asked about the retirement money, my voice barely above a whisper. That's complicated, she said. Retirement funds earned during marriage are usually considered marital property. However, if we establish a protected trust before she files, and we can prove intent to defraud financial conspiracy, we may be able to shield a significant portion of it. But we need to move fast. How much time do I have? Unknown. If she files first, she controls the narrative. Temporary orders. Asset freezes. Everything. You need to move carefully but very, very fast. What's my first step? She slid a business card across the desk. A private investigator. Get proof of the affair. Proof of coordination. Proof of conspiracy. Then we build our strategy. His name was Howard Russell. Here's what I learned in those early days. When you discover betrayal, your first instinct is to react emotionally. To scream, to cry, to demand answers. But emotion is your enemy in moments like this. Strategy is your ally. Patience is your weapon. And silence is your greatest advantage. By day 3, I was sitting in a coffee shop across from Howard Russell. He was about 58, broad-shouldered, with the kind of face that had spent decades reading people and seeing through their lies. We sat in a back booth where no one could overhear us. Mrs. Martinez says you need surveillance, he said, getting straight to business. Cheating spouse situation. Cheating spouse with a financial advisor who profits from divorces. Derek Caldwell. You know him. Howard's eyebrows lifted slightly. Know of him. He targets married women with wealthy husbands. Helps orchestrate divorces. Takes a percentage of the settlement as a consulting fee. Fees involved. This isn't romance, Marcus. This is business. My daughter's involved too. Howard's expression hardened, and for a moment I saw genuine anger flash across his face. Then this is conspiracy. How much can you spend? Whatever it takes. Good answer. I gave him everything. Schedules. Addresses. Routines. Janet's habits. Derek's office location. Emma's apartment. Every detail I could remember. I'm installing security cameras at home, I said. How do I explain that to her? Tell her it's for safety. Break-ins in the neighborhood. That usually works. That afternoon, I came home with camera equipment from the hardware store. Janet barely looked up from her phone. Security cameras, I said casually. There have been break-ins nearby. Better safe than sorry. Sounds smart, honey. She didn't even ask which neighborhood. Didn't care. I installed cameras over the next 2 days. Front door. Back door. Living room. Kitchen. All cloud connected. All recording constantly. I also started carrying a voice recorder everywhere. In my pocket. In my briefcase. Recording every conversation. Every phone call. By day 6, Howard called. I've got your photos. We met again at the same coffee shop. He slid an envelope across the table, and I opened it with hands that had finally stopped shaking. Janet and Derek outside a restaurant, laughing, her hand on his arm. Another photo of them entering a hotel together. Timestamp, Thursday afternoon. The same day she claimed to have book club. More photos. Different dates. Different hotels. Different lies. 18 months, Howard explained, laying out a timeline. I did some digging into Caldwell's history. He has a pattern. Targets vulnerable married women. Orchestrates divorces. 12 similar cases over the past 5 years. He takes 20 to 30% of the settlement as consulting fees. I looked at the photo of Janet's smiling face, her hand touching Derek's cheek, and I felt absolutely nothing. Not anger. Not grief. Just cold, crystal clear clarity. They hadn't made a mistake. They'd made a plan. And now so had I. The hardest part wasn't gathering evidence. It wasn't installing cameras or hiring investigators or building a legal case. The hardest part was coming home every single night and pretending I didn't know a thing. Pretending my heart wasn't broken. Pretending my world hadn't ended. Week 2 became a masterclass in deception. I went to farewell lunches with colleagues. Packed up 32 years of office memorabilia. Bringing home plants and framed certifications and coffee mugs with corporate logos. Janet helped me arrange everything in my new home office, humming while she worked, occasionally touching my arm with fake affection. I'm really proud of you, sweetheart, she said one evening, her eyes glistening with crocodile tears. You worked so hard for this. I hugged her tight and the recorder in my pocket captured every lying word. On day 10, the company sent out the official retirement announcement. That evening, over dinner, Janet finally asked the question I'd been waiting for. The question I'd been preparing for. So honey, the retirement package. What's the exact amount? I want to make sure we're planning our future correctly. I pushed pasta around my plate, made it look like I was doing mental calculations, like I was being transparent. After taxes and the annuity structure, about $1.2 million upfront. The rest gets paid out over the next 20 years in installments. I watched her face very carefully. The smile stayed perfectly in place, but something flickered behind her eyes. Disappointment. Just a flash, quickly covered. Oh. She recovered smoothly, her voice warm and loving. That's still wonderful, sweetheart. We'll be very comfortable. More than comfortable, I said, squeezing her hand across the table like we were still in love. $45,000 a year from the annuity on top of the lump sum. We'll be just fine. She kissed my cheek after dinner. Said she was tired, going to turn in early with a book. I went to my garage workshop, put on headphones, and listened to the audio from the recorder I'd hidden in our bedroom earlier that week. At exactly 9:43, Janet's voice came through crystal clear. Derek, it's me. Hey, beautiful. What's up? I asked him about the money tonight. It's less than we thought. Only $1.2 million upfront. The rest is locked in some 20-year annuity. Silence. Then Derek's smooth, practiced voice. How much in the annuity total? He didn't say exactly. But even if it's another $1 million or $2 million spread over 20 years, that's way less liquidity than we hoped for. It's still worth it, Janet. $1.2 million is plenty to work with. Plus the house equity, his 401k, all the marital assets. We stick to the plan. I file through your lawyer next month. Get temporary orders freezing his accounts. And by the time he knows what hit him, you'll have secured at least half. What about Emma and Ryan? Your daughter gets her cut like we discussed. Ryan's business loan comes through. They get their fancy wedding. Everyone's happy. Derek, he's going to be devastated. Marcus will be fine. He'll find some retired engineer to play golf with. People move on, Janet. They always do. I sat in that quiet workshop, transcribing key quotes into a password-protected document. My hand stayed completely steady. My face stayed blank. They thought I'd said $1.2 million. They were planning around a fraction of what I actually had. Perfect. But I had no idea just how far they were willing to go. How dark this conspiracy would become. And how close I would come to losing everything, including my life. The next day, I met Bill Harrison for coffee. Bill had been my closest friend since college. He was a contractor, Divorced 5 years back after his own wife's betrayal. A solid guy. The kind who shows up with a truck when you need help moving. No questions asked. You doing okay, man? He leaned forward across the table, studying my face with concern. You seem different. Off. I wanted to tell him everything right then. Wanted to unload this crushing weight I was carrying alone. But I couldn't risk it. Not yet. Just adjusting to retirement, I said, forcing a smile. Weird not having a schedule, you know? Bill didn't buy it. I could see it in his eyes. But he's the kind of friend who doesn't push when you're not ready to talk. All right. But seriously, Marcus. Day or night. If you need anything, you call me. Got it. I know. Thanks, brother. When this was all over, Bill would be my first call. I owed him that much. That weekend, Emma came for dinner. She hugged me tight, asked how retirement felt, talked excitedly about wedding planning. Ryan's business was doing well, apparently. They were looking at houses in the suburbs. I watched my daughter across the table. Animated. Happy. Beautiful. And I couldn't reconcile this version with the one who'd agreed to help dismantle my financial security. Was she manipulated? Just greedy? Did she believe I somehow deserved this? I didn't ask. Not yet. After dinner, she took a selfie of us. Emma leaning against my shoulder, both of us smiling. She posted it to Instagram immediately. Celebrating with Dad. So proud of him. 43 likes in 5 minutes. Comments rolling in. Ah, so sweet. Family goals. The cognitive dissonance was absolutely staggering. How do you sit across from your own child? The person you raised and loved and sacrificed everything for, knowing they're plotting against you, knowing they see you as nothing more than a source of money? It's a special kind of hell that I wouldn't wish on anyone. Every night that week, I lay beside Janet in our bed. Every night she scrolled through her phone, probably texting Derek, while I pretended to read. The emotional toll was exhausting beyond words. Some mornings I wake with my jaw aching from clenching my teeth all night, grinding them in my sleep. But it was necessary. Every single agonizing second was necessary. By the end of week 2, I'd perfected my role. The oblivious husband. The trusting father. The retired engineer completely unaware that his family was plotting his destruction. They thought I was the fool. Too busy with my career to notice his wife's affair. Too trusting to imagine his daughter's betrayal. But while they openly planned their treachery in my own home, I was building something they couldn't see. An ironclad legal case that would leave them with absolutely nothing. On day 14, Howard Russell called me with information that made everything so much worse. My daughter wasn't just complicit. She'd been trapped. Marcus, I found something about Emma. We need to meet. Now. I drove to his office through afternoon traffic, hands gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles went white. Part of me didn't want to know. The other part needed every single detail. Howard's office was sparse. Metal desk. Filing cabinets. Wall of certifications. He slid a folder across the desk as I sat down, and my heart sank before I even opened it. Bank records, he said quietly. Derek Caldwell's been transferring money to Emma for 8 months. Small amounts at first. 500 here. 1,000 there. Then bigger. 2,000. 3,000. 5,000. I opened the folder. Page after page of transfers. Each one dated. Each one documented. Total amount. $65,000. The number hit me like a physical blow. My daughter owed Derek Caldwell $65,000. There's more. Howard pulled out another document and I wanted to tell him to stop, to not show me because I couldn't take anymore. He handed me printouts. Recovered text messages. Took some work, but I've got contacts who can pull deleted conversations from cloud backups. I recognized Emma's number, Derek's number, and I started reading. Derek to Emma, March 15th. Don't worry about paying back right away. Just help your mom with this situation. We'll call it even. Emma to Derek, June 3rd. I need another $3,000 for the Miami trip. Dad won't give it to me. Derek to Emma, June 3rd. Of course, sweetheart. But remember, you owe me. When your mom gets her share, you'll get yours. Emma to Derek, July 20th. Ryan needs help with his business. We're looking at $50,000 for startup costs. Derek to Emma, July 20th. Let's talk. I have some ideas. I read through message after message, each one a knife twisting deeper into my heart. My daughter asking for money, Derek providing it, always with subtle reminders about what she owed, always connecting it to the divorce, to my retirement money, to her eventual share. She's been played, Howard said quietly. Classic financial grooming. He identified her weakness, shopping addiction, Instagram lifestyle pressure, and he exploited it ruthlessly. Designer bags, expensive dinners, trips she couldn't afford on her salary. He made himself indispensable. How much does she make? $35,000 a year. Marketing coordinator at a small firm. There's no way she could afford her lifestyle on that income. What's her total debt? Howard's expression darkened. The $65,000 to Derek, plus about $40,000 in credit card debt. $105,000 total. For a 24-year-old. I sat back feeling physically sick. $105,000. Nearly 3 times her annual income. This is his pattern, Marcus, Howard continued. I dug deeper into those 12 previous cases. Same playbook every single time. Target the wife but also target someone close to her. Daughter. Sister. Best friend. Create financial dependency. Make them complicit. Then when the divorce hits, they're too deep to back out. She's still my daughter. I know. But she's helping them plan your destruction. The question is whether she's a victim or a willing participant. I stared at those messages. Dad won't give it to me. Like I was the problem. Like my refusal to fund her unsustainable lifestyle somehow justified conspiring against me. Maybe both, I said quietly, my voice breaking. Maybe she started out as a victim, but at some point she made a choice. She could have come to me, could have asked for help. Instead, she chose this. When does a victim become a participant? When does being manipulated stop being an excuse? These are questions I still struggle with. Because Emma is my daughter. I love her. I raised her. But she sat in meetings planning my destruction. And that's a choice. An adult choice with adult consequences. After leaving Howard's office, I sat in my truck for 10 minutes before calling Angela Martinez. We have a problem, I said when she answered. I explained everything. The $65,000. The messages. The pattern of financial grooming. Angela was quiet for a long moment, and I could hear papers rustling in the background. This is financial exploitation. We can potentially charge Derek with loan sharking, usury, financial abuse. It strengthens our case considerably. What about Emma? Can we prove she was manipulated? Get her some kind of immunity? The silence was longer this time. Marcus. Angela's voice was gentle but very firm. I understand she's your daughter. But she's 24 years old. An adult. Those messages show clear intent to participate in defrauding you. Yes, Derek exploited her vulnerabilities. Yes, he's a predator. But that doesn't excuse her actions. She made choices. Adult choices with adult consequences. So what do I do? What you've been doing. Document everything. Don't confront her. If she knows you're aware, she'll warn them. You'll lose your advantage. And frankly, you'll lose your case. Right now we're building something solid. Criminal charges against Derek. Conspiracy to commit fraud. If you tip them off, they scatter, cover their tracks, and you end up with nothing. She's my daughter, Angela. I know. And I'm truly sorry. This is the hardest part of cases like this. When family betrays family. But you have to decide, Marcus. Do you want justice? Or do you want to protect someone who's actively working to destroy you? I hung up and just sat there in the parking lot, watching people come and go. Normal people with normal problems. I thought about confronting Emma, calling her right now, meeting for coffee, pulling her aside and saying, I know everything. I know about the money. I know about Derek. I know what you're planning. Please, sweetheart. Just stop. Come clean. We can fix this together. But I couldn't. If I confronted her, she'd panic. She'd tell Janet. She'd tell Derek. They'd accelerate their plans, hide evidence, maybe file for divorce tomorrow instead of next month. I'd lose the element of surprise. I'd lose those crucial 30 days until my retirement funds hit. I'd lose everything I'd been building. So I did nothing. I let my 24-year-old daughter walk deeper into a trap, because saving her now might mean losing everything later. They say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. But sometimes the road to justice is paved with impossible choices. And I was about to learn just how impossible those choices could become. Week 3 was when they stopped being passive schemers and became active attackers. That's when I realized this wasn't just about money anymore. This was about destroying me completely. It started at breakfast on day 15. Janet set down her coffee, studied me with manufactured concern. Her head tilted just so. "Honey, are you feeling all right? You seem different lately. Distracted. Maybe retirement's affecting you more than you thought. Maybe you should talk to someone. A professional." "I'm fine, Janet," I said, keeping my voice neutral and calm. "Well, if you need help, sweetheart, there's no shame in that. I'm here for you." She planted the seed so carefully, so deliberately. The next morning, day 16, Emma posted on Instagram. I opened it during my coffee and my blood ran cold. A photo of her looking worried, hand over her heart. Caption: "Worried about Dad's health lately. Prayers needed." 200 comments already. Friends asking what was wrong. Emma responding vaguely. "Just going through some changes. Hoping he gets the help he needs." My daughter was publicly suggesting I needed mental help, creating a narrative for her 800 followers that something was wrong with me, that I was unstable. I took screenshots. Said nothing. Day 17, the phone calls started. Mr. Harrison called first, his voice filled with concern. "Marcus, I hope I'm not overstepping, but Janet called me. She's concerned about you. Said you've been acting paranoid, forgetful, making unusual accusations. Is everything all right, son?" My jaw tightened so hard I thought my teeth might crack. "I'm fine, sir. Really. I promise." She mentioned you've been accusing her of things. Being suspicious without cause. Oh, the irony was almost funny. Janet's mistaken. "I appreciate your concern, Mr. Harrison, but I promise you I'm completely fine." 20 minutes later, Bill Harrison called. "Marcus, what the hell is going on, man? Janet just called me. Said you're struggling. Acting erratic. Said you're not yourself. Brother, you can tell me if something's wrong." This was the moment. I needed Bill on my side, but I couldn't reveal everything yet. "Bill, listen to me very carefully. Janet's setting me up. I can't explain everything right now because it's complicated and I need more time. But I need you to trust me. I'm completely fine. This is part of her strategy." Strategy for what? A divorce I didn't see coming. She's building a case that I'm mentally unstable, probably to challenge my retirement assets, claim I'm not competent to manage them. But I'm documenting everything. I'm working with lawyers. And I need you to know that I'm lucid, rational, and completely in control. Can you trust me on this? A long pause. I could almost hear Bill's brain working through the implications. Jesus, Marcus. Yeah, of course I trust you. Whatever you need, brother. I'm here. Thank you. But if she calls again, play along. Act concerned. Don't let her know I told you anything. Got it. But when this is over, you're telling me everything over a very large bottle of whiskey. Deal. But what I didn't know was that Janet's attacks were about to get much, much worse. And in just a few days I would discover that they weren't just trying to take my money. They were trying to take my life. On day 19, I drove 2 counties over to see an independent clinical psychologist, Dr. Helen Morrison. About 60 years old, wireframe glasses, kind eyes. "I want a comprehensive mental health evaluation," I told her. "For legal purposes. 2 hours of testing, cognitive assessments, memory tests, depression and anxiety screenings, questions about my emotional state, my decision-making abilities, my perception of reality." At the end, she handed me a sealed report and looked at me with something like admiration. "Mr. Coleman, you're in excellent mental health. No signs of paranoia, memory impairment, or mood instability. Actually, you're sharp as a tack. Sharper than most people half your age." I paid cash and locked the report in my truck's glove box. Janet would never know it existed. But when the time came when she tried to claim I was mentally unfit, I'd have irrefutable proof. Day 20, Howard called. "Your wife visited a psychiatrist yesterday, Dr. Leonard Fisher. She was inside for 40 minutes. Looked very pleased when she left. She's trying to get a statement about my concerning behavior. That would be my guess. Building a medical narrative to support her claims. That night, day 21, Janet was in the shower. I couldn't sleep. On impulse, I opened her nightstand drawer. Found a leather-bound journal. The kind she'd never kept before in 26 years of marriage. I opened it with trembling hands. Page after page of fabricated entries, dated over the past 3 weeks. September 8th. Marcus seems increasingly controlling about money. Questions where I've been. Suspicious of everything. His paranoia is getting worse. September 12th. He accused me of hiding his keys, then found them in his own pocket. Won't admit he forgot. This is concerning. September 15th. His mood swings are getting worse. Snapped at me over nothing this morning. I'm starting to feel scared. Genuinely scared. September 18th. Talked to his former boss. Even Mr. Harrison noticed changes in Marcus's behavior. I don't know what to do. I feel so alone. Every entry carefully crafted to paint me as unstable, controlling, paranoid. A man whose mental state was deteriorating rapidly. A man who couldn't be trusted with $4.1 million. I photographed every single page with my phone, making sure to capture the dates, the handwriting, the deliberate lies. Then I placed the journal back exactly where I'd found it. Same position. Same angle. Like I'd never touched it. She was building a narrative. Not just for the divorce but for after. When my retirement money hit in 9 days, she planned to challenge my competence. Claim I wasn't mentally fit to manage it. Argue for conservatorship. Complete control. She'd thought of everything. Everything except that I knew. Have you ever watched someone you love become a stranger right before your eyes? Have you ever seen the mask slip and realized the person you thought you knew never actually existed? That's what those weeks were like. Every day, another layer peeled away. Every day, another lie exposed. I climbed back into bed. Janet came out of the bathroom smelling like lavender soap. Climbed in beside me, her skin still warm from the shower. "Good night, sweetheart," she said, kissing my cheek like we were still in love. "Good night, Janet." I lay there listening to her breathing even out, becoming slow and steady. The woman next to me had spent the entire week systematically destroying my reputation, my credibility, my sanity in the eyes of everyone I knew. And I documented every single move. I photographed every page of that diary, every lie she'd written about me, and I placed it back exactly where I'd found it. Let her think her plan was working. Let her believe I was falling apart. Because the more desperate they became, the more mistakes they'd make. If week 3 was psychological warfare, week 4 was when they tried to kill me. I'm not being dramatic. I mean that literally. It started on day 23. I started feeling tired. At first I thought it was just stress. The weight of carrying this secret, of playing this role every single day. Then came the nausea. Not severe, just persistent. A queasy feeling that never quite went away. By day 25 it was getting worse. I'd sit at the breakfast table and the room would spin slightly, like I'd had too much to drink the night before. My hands would tremble when I reached for my coffee. A persistent fatigue that made even simple tasks feel exhausting. Janet would watch me with what looked like concern, her brow furrowed just so. "Honey, you don't look well. Maybe you should see a doctor. This isn't normal." "Just the adjustment period," I'd say, forcing a smile. "Retirement's a big change, you know?" But I knew something was wrong. This wasn't stress. This was physical. Something happening inside my body that I couldn't control. On day 26, I started paying closer attention to patterns. I felt worse in the mornings. After breakfast. Better by afternoon if I'd skipped lunch at home. On days when I grabbed fast food or ate at a restaurant, I'd feel almost normal by evening. But meals Janet prepared? Within an hour, the symptoms would return. Worse each time. I sat in my truck outside a diner one afternoon, eating a burger and fries, thinking back. When did this start? Day 23. Right after I'd frozen the bank accounts. Right after their financial fraud attempts had failed. The thought came unbidden. Unwelcome. Terrifying. She wouldn't. Would she? I wanted to dismiss it as paranoia. Too extreme. Too evil. But I'd already caught her forging my signature. Already found her fake diary painting me as mentally unstable. Already watched her conspire with Derek and our daughter to steal our home equity. Was poisoning really that much further? On day 27, I decided to test my hypothesis. "Hey babe," I said at breakfast, keeping my tone casual. "I'm going to try a new diet. Read an article about gut health and retirement. Figured I'd buy some prepared meals, try eating cleaner for a while. Give my system a reset." Janet looked up from her coffee, and something flickered across her face. Disappointment? Concern? Passed too quickly to read. "Whatever you think is best, sweetheart. I just want you to feel better." I spent that entire day eating only food I'd bought myself or from restaurants. Prepared meals from the grocery store. A sandwich from a shop downtown. Dinner at a chain restaurant. By that evening, I felt significantly better. Clearer. The nausea faded. My hands stopped trembling. The next morning, day 28, I felt almost normal. That's when I knew for certain. When you realize someone is trying to harm you, really harm you, it changes something fundamental inside you. The world suddenly becomes a very dangerous place. And the person you once loved becomes the person you have to survive. On day 27, while Janet was at the grocery store, I went into the kitchen. Found the coffee she'd made me that morning still half full in my mug. Poured it into a clean jar. Sealed it. Labeled it with the date and time. Then I found yesterday's leftover soup in the refrigerator. The soup she'd insisted I eat for dinner, even heating it up herself, bringing it to me with such care. Another jar. Another seal. Another date. I gave them to Howard that afternoon at his office. "Send these to a lab," I said, my voice steady despite the fear coursing through me. "Out of state. Independent facility. I need to know what's in them." Howard studied my face, and I watched understanding dawn in his eyes. "You think she's... Just test them. Please." On day 28, Howard called. His voice was tight with barely controlled anger. "Marcus, you need to sit down." I was already sitting. In my truck. Parked outside the hardware store watching normal people live normal lives. What did they find? The lab found warfarin in both samples. Coffee and soup. Significant amounts. My blood turned to ice despite the warm September afternoon. Warfarin. Rat poison. Also used as a blood thinner medication in controlled doses. But Marcus, small doses over time can cause exactly the symptoms you described. Fatigue. Nausea. Dizziness. Larger doses, continued doses can cause internal bleeding. Organ damage. It's dangerous. Potentially lethal if continued long enough. I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, watching a woman loading mulch into her trunk. A couple arguing good-naturedly over paint colors. Life continuing normally while mine had just confirmed my worst nightmare. How long would I have to take it to? I couldn't finish the sentence. To cause serious harm? Depends on dosage and your body weight. But we're talking days to weeks of consistent exposure. You stopped in time, Marcus. You stopped just in time. That afternoon, Bill Harrison stopped by my house unexpectedly. He took one look at me and his face went pale. "Jesus, Marcus. You look terrible. This isn't normal stress. When's the last time you actually saw a doctor?" I couldn't tell him. "Not yet. Not about the poison. Getting checked out soon. I promise." After Bill left, I sat in my workshop with the lab report in my hands. Black and white proof that my wife had been slowly poisoning me. Not just betraying me financially. Not just destroying my reputation. Actually harming me physically. Trying to make me weak. Trying to make me sick. Maybe trying to make me disappear entirely. Tell me in the comments, and if you've dealt with something similar, share your story. You're not alone. Subscribe for more stories about standing your ground and reclaiming your life. Because that's what this became for me. Not just a fight for my money. A fight for my actual life. I thought about what would happen if I died. Janet would inherit everything. The house. The retirement money hitting my account in just 2 days. The life insurance policy. I checked the documents. $1.2 million in life insurance. No messy divorce. No splitting assets. No fraud investigation. Just a grieving widow collecting insurance money, while her lover and daughter waited in the wings. Clean. Simple. Profitable. I called Angela Martinez with shaking hands. "We need to talk. They've escalated." "How bad?" "Worse than fraud." I have lab results showing warfarin in my food. They're not just trying to steal from me anymore, Angela. They're trying to harm me. Maybe worse. Silence on the other end. Then her voice, sharp and professional. I'm filing an emergency motion first thing tomorrow morning. We're getting a restraining order and moving up our timeline significantly. This is beyond civil court now, Marcus. This is serious criminal activity. This is attempted murder. I called Howard next, my voice surprisingly steady. I need you to increase surveillance. Every movement. Every meeting. Every person they talk to. We're in the endgame now, and I need everything documented. That night, I lay in bed beside Janet. She kissed my cheek, asked how I was feeling with such perfect concern. Still a little tired, I said. But better. Much better. Good, she whispered, her hand on my chest. Get some rest, sweetheart. You need your strength. I stared at the ceiling after she fell asleep. The woman who'd promised to love me in sickness and in health had been making me sick. Deliberately. Methodically. The mother of my child had been poisoning the father of her daughter. 26 years of marriage had led to this. Me lying next to someone actively trying to harm me. Maybe trying to end my life, while pretending everything was normal. I looked at that lab report later, locked safely in my truck. Black and white proof. Scientific evidence. Irrefutable. And I made my final decision. I wouldn't confront her. I wouldn't show fear. I'd let her think the poison was working, that I was getting weaker, more confused, more vulnerable. Because desperate people make mistakes. And I needed her to make one big enough to end this forever. But I had no idea that her biggest mistake was still to come. And it would be so catastrophic, so undeniably evil, that even I wouldn't be prepared for what I was about to witness. Day 28. The day everything came to a head. That evening at 7 o'clock I wasn't home. I told Janet I was staying at Bill's place for the night. Needed some space. Some guy time to process retirement. She'd seemed relieved, actually. Probably grateful to have me out of the house for whatever she had planned. But my security cameras were still running. I sat in Angela Martinez's office with Howard Russell, laptop open, watching the live feed from my dining room. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my throat. For people gathered around my table. Janet, Derek Caldwell, Emma, and Ryan Brooks, her fiancé. Angela leaned in beside me. Are you ready for this? I wasn't. But I nodded anyway. We turned up the volume. Derek spoke first, his voice calm and businesslike. Clinical. The poison isn't working fast enough. He's not eating at home anymore. He's suspicious. We need something more definitive. Janet's voice was quiet but steady. What are you suggesting? An accident. He mentioned Bill's birthday party at the lake this weekend. Mountain roads. Sharp turns. If his brakes failed on one of those curves. Derek let the implication hang in the air. My chest tightened. I couldn't breathe. Emma shifted in her seat, and I found myself praying. Praying she'd object. Praying she'd stand up and say this was too far. How would that happen? She asked instead, her voice curious rather than horrified. Ryan leaned forward. My stomach dropped. I know a bit about cars, he said, and I watched my daughter's fiancé, this 26-year-old kid I'd welcomed into our family, explain exactly how to murder me. Brake lines can be cut. Small incision in the right place. Fluid drains slowly while he's driving. By the time he hits those mountain roads, no brakes at all. Would look like mechanical failure. Corrosion happens all the time with older vehicles. Janet was silent for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice actually wavered. Are we really doing this? Are we really planning to? Derek reached across the table, squeezed her hand with such tenderness it made me sick. It's him or us, Janet. He has evidence. You heard what the lawyer said. If he files first, we lose everything. Every single thing we've planned for. We don't have any other choice. And think about it. The life insurance is $1.2 million. The retirement package is $4.1 million. The house equity. We'd be set. You and Emma would never have to worry about money again. Emma's voice came next. Clearer. More certain than her mother's. And that's when my heart truly shattered into pieces I knew could never be put back together. And we inherit everything. Mom, we'd be set for life. Ryan and I could get married, start fresh, pay off all this debt. We could actually live. I watched my daughter's face on that screen. 24 years old. The little girl I'd taught to ride a bike. The teenager I'd helped with calculus homework at 2 in the morning. The young woman I'd walked through her first heartbreak, agreeing to end my life so she could pay off credit cards and have a nice wedding. My hands were shaking so violently, I had to set down my coffee mug before I dropped it. Angela's hand touched my shoulder, warm and steady. We're recording all of this, Marcus. Every single word. This is ironclad evidence. Janet's voice again, softer now. 1.2 million in insurance. And the 4.1 million retirement package. Plus the house equity at $850. We're looking at close to 6 million total. Derek smiled. I could hear it in his tone, that satisfied smugness. You're looking at close to 6 million total after we liquidate everything. Split 3 ways between you, Emma, and me. 2 million each. Tax-free on the insurance. Clean. Simple. When? Janet asked, and oh God, her voice was steady now. Resolved. She'd made her decision. This weekend. Bill's party is Saturday. Today's Tuesday. Gives us time to prepare everything carefully. Ryan spoke up again, and I wanted to reach through that screen and strangle him. I'll handle the car. Friday night. Late. After he's asleep. Takes maybe 10 minutes total. He won't notice anything until he's halfway up that mountain. By then it'll be too late. And if someone asks questions? Janet's voice. Derek's smooth reply made my skin crawl. Tragic accident. 59-year-old man, recently retired, stressed from major life changes. Brake failure on a dangerous mountain road. Happens every year, Janet. There won't be questions. Trust me. The meeting broke up around 8 o'clock. Ryan stood first, grabbed his jacket. I should head out. Don't want Marcus getting suspicious if I'm here too long when he gets back. He left through the front door. I watched on camera as he climbed into his truck, completely unaware that his entire world was about to end. 20 minutes later, I sat across from Ryan Brooks in a diner 15 miles from my house. This part of the plan had been in motion for 2 days, ever since I'd realized they might escalate to violence. Ryan reached under his shirt, pulled out a small digital recorder, and set it on the table between us. Mr. Coleman, I got it all. Every single word they said. Everything. You see, 2 days ago on day 26 I'd made a choice. While Howard was following Janet to the mortgage broker, I'd followed Ryan. Pulled up beside him at a gas station. Asked him to take a walk with me. I know what they're asking you to do, I'd said, watching his face carefully. I know about Emma's debt. I know about Derek's loans to her. I know everything, Ryan. The kid had gone absolutely pale. You have a choice, I'd continued, my voice calm and steady. Go to prison with them when this falls apart, and it will fall apart, or help me stop this. Help me save my life and your own future. Help me get justice. What do you want? His voice had been shaking. A wire. I want you to record everything. When this is over, I'll make sure the district attorney knows you cooperated fully. Immunity deal. You walk away clean. Start over somewhere new. Build a real life. Ryan had stood there for a long time, and I'd watched the war play out on his face. Fear. Guilt. Calculation. Then he'd nodded slowly. Okay, I'll do it. I'll help you. Now, sitting in that diner, he pushed the recorder toward me across the table. I did what you asked. I'm done with them. Done with all of it, Mr. Coleman. You did the right thing, Ryan. The only right thing. Emma's going to hate me forever. I looked at this young man who'd been dating my daughter for 2 years, who'd been pulled into something dark and terrible. Emma's going to prison, Ryan, where she belongs. And you're going to build a life somewhere far away from all of this. That's the deal. At 9 o'clock that night, Angela called District Attorney James Whitaker from her office, put him on speaker. Detective Rachel Hammond joined the call. We have evidence of conspiracy to commit murder, Angela said without preamble. Multiple conspirators. Multiple attack methods. Documented poisoning. Planning of a staged vehicular accident. I'm sending you files now. She uploaded everything. Lab results showing warfarin poisoning. Forged documents from the insurance and bank fraud attempts. Tonight's recording from Ryan's wire. The security camera footage showing all 4 conspirators present. The timeline. The evidence. Everything. How solid is this? Whitaker asked, his voice tight. Ironclad. We have recordings, forensic evidence, witnesses, documentary proof. And one of the conspirators is cooperating fully. Who's the target? My client, Marcus Coleman. His wife, daughter, her fiancé, and the wife's lover have attempted psychological manipulation, financial fraud, poisoning, and tonight they finalized plans for a staged fatal accident. Silence on the line, heavy and thick. Then Whitaker's voice, hard as steel. When were they planning to act? This weekend. Day after tomorrow. Friday night they plan to cut his brake lines. We'll run a sting operation. Let them think they're proceeding as planned. Catch them in the act. I'll have Detective Hammond coordinate everything. We'll need your full cooperation, Mr. Coleman. You have it, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. Whatever you need. Day 30, Whitaker continued. That's when the retirement money hits your account, correct? Correct. $4.1 million. Then that's when we move. Let them think they have one more day. Let them get desperate. Let them make their final mistakes. Then we take them all down at once. When I played back Ryan's recording later that night, listening to my wife, my daughter, and her lover planning to stage my death, to make it look like an accident so they could inherit millions, I felt something I'd been holding back for 4 weeks finally break free. Not tears. Not rage. Something else entirely. Permission. Permission to do whatever was necessary to survive. Permission to stop protecting people who wanted me dead. Permission to fight back with everything I had. They'd made this a fight for my survival, and I was going to win. While police prepared the sting operation, I had one final piece of the puzzle to understand. One more victim I needed to know about. On day 29, Howard called me with information about Donna Phillips, the HR employee who'd leaked my retirement file to Derek. I've been watching her for the past week, Howard said. She's lost significant weight. Cries in her car during lunch breaks. Shows all the signs of serious depression and trauma. Marcus, I don't think she's a willing participant in any of this. At 10 o'clock, Angela and I met Donna at a quiet cafe on the edge of town, far from anyone who might recognize us. When she walked in and saw us sitting there, her face went completely white. Am I being arrested? Her voice trembled. No, Angela said gently, gesturing to the empty chair. We want to talk. Please sit down. Donna sat, her hands shaking visibly. She looked so much thinner than in the employee photo I'd seen. Dark circles under her eyes. The hollow appearance of someone who hadn't slept properly in months. I'm so sorry, Mr. Coleman. Tears started immediately, streaming down her face. I never wanted to harm you. I swear to God I didn't want any of this. Why did you forward my retirement file to Derek Caldwell? I asked, keeping my voice gentle. She looked down at her untouched coffee cup, and the words came out in a broken whisper. Because he made me. He blackmailed me. Tell us everything, Angela said softly. And Donna did. The whole terrible story spilled out between sobs. She'd been involved with Derek 2 years ago, back in 2018 before my wife. It had been brief, maybe 3 months. She'd thought he cared about her, thought they had something real. Then she found out he was seeing other people. She ended it immediately. A week later he contacted her. Said he had videos. Recordings from his bedroom. Intimate moments she hadn't known were being captured. He'd hidden cameras. Recorded everything without her knowledge or consent. He blackmailed you, Angela said, her voice hard. Yes. Donna pulled out her phone with trembling hands. He still has the videos. Still threatens me with them. She showed us text messages, and I read them feeling physically sick. Derek. Send me Coleman's retirement file or I release these videos to your workplace, to your ex-husband, to your daughter's school. Everyone will see them. Donna. Please don't. I'll lose my job. My daughter will. Derek. Then do what I ask. Simple choice, Donna. There were dozens more. Each one a threat. Each one leveraging the same videos against her. Using her shame and fear as weapons. Your daughter. I asked gently. Lily. She's 8 years old. Donna's voice broke completely. He threatened to send them to her school. The other kids would find them somehow. Kids always find things online. And Lily would see them eventually. She'd see her mother and I couldn't let that happen. So when he demanded your file, I sent it. I had no choice, Mr. Coleman. No choice at all. She pulled up a photo on her phone. A little girl with brown hair and pigtails, smiling at the camera. 8 years old. Innocent. Happy. She looked like Emma had at that age. Same smile. Same trusting eyes. Something inside me broke in a completely different way. I'd been so focused on my own betrayal, my own pain, my wife and daughter conspiring against me, that I hadn't considered there might be other victims. Other people Derek Caldwell had destroyed along the way. He's not just greedy, I said quietly, looking at that photo. He's a predator. A monster. I should have come to you, Donna said, tears streaming down her face. Should have told someone, reported him to police. But I was terrified. I'm a single mother. If those videos got out, I'd lose my job. My ex-husband would use them in custody hearings to take Lily away from me. And Lily, she couldn't finish. Angela spoke carefully, professionally. Donna, we need you to testify against him. We're building a criminal case. Fraud, blackmail, conspiracy, attempted murder. Your testimony about the blackmail would be crucial evidence. He'll release the videos if I testify. He'll destroy me. Not if he's in prison, I said firmly. And Angela can get a court order sealing that evidence. It would never be made public. Not to your employer. Not to your ex-husband. Not to Lily's school. No one would ever see it. You have my word. Donna looked at me, confusion written all over her face. Why are you helping me? I betrayed you. I gave him access to your private information. I'm part of the reason all this happened. Because you're a victim just like me, I said, and I meant every word. The difference is I can fight back. I have resources and power and options. You couldn't. You were trapped. But now we'll fight together. Derek Caldwell doesn't get to destroy any more lives. Not yours. Not Lily's. Not anyone's ever again. She started crying again, but these were different tears. Relief maybe. Or hope. There are others, she said after a moment, wiping her eyes. I'm not the only one. He's done this to at least 3 other women I know of personally. Same pattern every time. Relationship, hidden recordings, breakup, blackmail. He uses them for whatever he needs. Information, money, alibis. He's been doing it for years, Mr. Coleman. Years and years. The scope of it was absolutely staggering. Derek wasn't just my wife's lover. He was a serial predator who'd built an entire career out of manipulating, blackmailing, and exploiting vulnerable people. The divorces were just one part of his operation. The blackmail was another. Everything designed to extract maximum profit, while leaving destruction in his wake. I'll testify, Donna said finally, her voice stronger now. If you can protect Lily, if you can keep those videos sealed forever, I'll tell them everything. Every detail. Every threat. Everything he did to me. You have my word, Angela said. And Mr. Coleman's. After Donna left, I sat in that cafe with Angela, staring at my cold coffee, my mind reeling. She's been living in absolute terror for 2 years, I said. Forced to help him destroy me because he threatened her child. Her 8-year-old daughter. Derek Caldwell is worse than we thought, Angela replied quietly. This isn't just about you anymore, Marcus. It's about stopping him before he ruins anyone else's life. Before he destroys anyone else. Tomorrow, I said, and my voice was hard as iron. Tomorrow we end this. Forever. Day 29 was the last night of my old life. Everything after would be different. Everything. At 6 o'clock, I sat at our dining table with Janet and Emma one final time. They smiled. Talked about weekend plans. Made normal conversation. Surface-level pleasantries masking the conspiracy beneath. Drive carefully to Bill's party tomorrow, sweetheart, Janet said, passing me the salad bowl with such care. Those mountain roads can be so dangerous this time of year. I nodded, playing my part perfectly. I will. Don't worry. After dinner my phone buzzed. Text from Janet. Drive safe tomorrow. Love you so much. She sent it while knowing Ryan was supposed to cut my brake lines that very night. While knowing those mountain roads might be the last thing I ever saw. Another buzz. Emma. Have fun at the lake, Dad. Love you. Be careful. From the daughter who'd sat at that table agreeing to a plan that could end my life so she could pay off credit cards. I saved both messages. Evidence of their hypocrisy. Proof they could smile and say love you, while planning something absolutely unthinkable. I looked at Emma across the table, 24 years old, laughing at something on her phone. Beautiful. Alive. I tried so hard to find the child I remembered. The 5-year-old who'd called me her hero. The little girl who'd believed I could fix anything. My mind drifted back unbidden. Christmas morning 2001. Emma was 5 years old, sitting cross-legged in front of the tree in her red pajamas with white snowflakes. We'd been up since 6. She'd woken us at dawn, too excited to wait even one more minute. Can I open this one, Daddy? Please, please, please. Go ahead, sweetheart. She'd torn through that wrapping paper so fast, gasped when she saw the dollhouse inside. The one she'd been asking for since October. I'd spent 2 months in the garage building it by hand, installing tiny electrical fixtures, painting each room a different color, making it perfect for her. Daddy, you're the best. You're the best daddy in the whole world. She'd launched herself at me, tiny arms wrapping around my neck, squeezing so tight. I love you so much. Janet had been there too, smiling. We'd been happy then. Or at least I'd thought we were. I love you too, princess. I'd whispered into her hair. I blinked. The memory faded. Returned to the present. To my adult daughter sitting across from me, texting her fiancé about brake lines and staged accidents. The little girl in the red pajamas felt like someone else's memory. Someone else's daughter entirely. Where did I lose her? At what point did I love you so much become we'd be set for life? Or maybe I'd never really known her at all. At 8 o'clock, I met Angela at her office for the final time before everything went down. Final paperwork. Final coordination. Tomorrow morning 9:15 the money hits your account, she said, sliding documents across her desk with practiced efficiency. By 10:30, it transfers to the protected trust. By 11 it's locked. They'll never touch a single penny of it. And the arrests? Noon. Simultaneous. We take all 4 at once. Janet, Derek, Emma, and we'll stage Ryan's arrest earlier to maintain his cover story. Detective Hammond is coordinating with the DA's office. Everything's ready. At 9:30, I sat in a conference room at the police station. Detective Rachel Hammond stood at the head of the table, reviewing the operation one final time. Angela sat beside me. Howard stood in the corner. Ryan sat across from me looking terrified. 2 a.m. Ryan approaches the Coleman residence, Hammond said, her voice crisp and professional. Appears to tamper with the vehicle. Neighbors might see. That's fine. We want witnesses to the attempt. At 2:15, patrol units arrest Ryan on scene. By morning, Derek and the others will believe their plan is proceeding exactly as scheduled. They'll think Marcus is heading toward that mountain road with faulty brakes. Ryan looked nervous, his leg bouncing under the table. What if they try to contact me after I'm arrested? Don't answer, Hammond said firmly. You're in custody. Let them panic. Panic makes people sloppy, makes them make mistakes. Noon arrests, Hammond continued. Janet Coleman at the residence. Derek Caldwell at his office. Emma Coleman at her apartment. Clean, coordinated, no warning whatsoever. Mr. Coleman, you'll be with us at the station during the arrests. For your safety and as a witness. I nodded. It was real now. Hours away. No turning back. At 11 o'clock, I arrived at Bill Harrison's house. He'd offered his guest room days ago, before he knew the full story. Now, sitting in his living room with whiskey in hand, he asked the question I'd been avoiding. Are you finally going to tell me what's really happening, Marcus? The whole truth. So I told him. Not everything, that would take hours, but enough. The affair. The conspiracy. The poison in my food. The plan to cut my brake lines. Tomorrow's sting operation. Bill sat in complete silence for a long time. Finally, quietly, Jesus Christ. Your own daughter. Yes.